Let me start with Harshit, getting you onto the screen. And Harshit, can you explain me what do you think about visibility, especially when you work with your clients, and how important you feel the importance that you get from them?
Yeah, 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 Sanjay. So we at Intugine we work with over 150 customers, and we enable real-time supply chain visibility across 7+ industries. I can share some of my thoughts on how do we look at it and how different industries are looking at it. At its crux, supply chain visibility or visibility in general is knowing where all of your products are at all points of time, and your product moves from raw materials to factories to manufactured goods across your distribution chain till distributors and retailers. So visibility is about knowing where exactly each product is at all points of time. That is at the crux of it. And but at a more higher level, and for us and for organizations, it's actually about improving the supply chain management, and we see it into three phases, right? So the first phase that we see is transparency. So supply chain visibility is to bring transparency in the supply chain, integrating with it can be done through integrations with a lot of GPS enabled vehicles, or a lot of shipping lines using IoT devices and different ways to enable tracking of all your vehicles and containers and parcels moving across the globe. It also involves using technologies like Beacon to enable what is happening inside the yard, right? What is happening in the loading and the unloading locations. And finally, it involves integrations with dozens of ERPs and CRM systems and WMS systems to pull all the data on one single platform. With this transparency, you can basically act on disruptions within a matter of minutes, and sometimes you can even act before those disruptions actually happening with predictive visibility. Once you have this transparency set up, the next thing that we do is to enable intelligence. Right. The idea is to analyze the data that we gather from supply chain visibility and measure a lot of KPIs like SLA adherence, on-time percentage, OTIF, daily kilometers, route-wise performance of different transporters, how different transporters are performing on different routes. Are you running at par to the industry standard? All these components of intelligence come in once you have the real-time visibility. And once you have this in place, then comes the third and the last phase, which is actionability. Basis all this data, we help in general in supply chain visibility, companies can make decisions like changing the business share of their carriers and transporters. They can improve their network design with actual data on ground. They can plan their inventories and safety stocks much better. And at the end of it, the idea is to bring down the cost and most importantly, deliver a great, delightful customer experience. So that's for me what visibility is.
Wonderful, Ashish. Some of the elements that you actually address are fantastic in terms of the transparency you talked about, in terms of predictive analysis, and most important, you said one word was last was actionability, right? And that is something a key element, not just having a visibility, but how do you act on it? And that is something I'll come back to you again, and we'll talk about it. Let's bring Pankaj onto the screen. And Pankaj, what is your view coming more from an analytics perspective, more from a digitalization and technology perspective here?
So Sanjay, for me, visibility would be clarity and ease with which one can view the complete picture. Like visibility also for me is equality of information availability across all the decision makers. Right? We've seen people spending a lot of time asking each other questions about the data itself, about where the product is. A lot of that discussion will become null and void once everybody has the same information. Now, one is about that information, one is about the scope or the breadth of and depth of the information that's available. So, for me, visibility forms the key ingredient on taking any decision by the business. Let me take an erstwhile example. Even a Dhritarashtra had to use a Sanjay, right, during Mahabharata. So, today also we've got people who are dependent upon other people. So, this is all about independence. If data is given to everybody, there's equality on data. People take decisions on their own. Additionally, for me, supply chain as a whole is all about flow. We should always look at improving the flow. That's been my philosophy. Visibility of where my product is, what's happening to it, am I serving the consumer better? Because in the end, it's all about keeping your promise to the consumer. If the flow is smooth, the consumer gets whatever he or she wants at the right time in the right quantity with the right quantity. So visibility for me is the key ingredient in having a smooth flow, providing information to the consumer, to all the people who are trying to serve the consumer. So in short, that's what visibility does for me. It's a carrier, it's a catalyst.
Excellent, right? As you said, it's the carrier, it's a catalyst, and it's all about customer, right? And that's what you have been saying, right? Customer is so important that once you have visibility, you have a smooth flow, and you also trigger information to the customer. So amazing.